Hello everybody, March Twisdale here, giving it a second try. If you saw my video earlier, it was for some reason sideways. I have no clue. Still learning this stuff, but I'm here to remind you that you have just 2 more days to do what? That's right. Find your ballot in the recycling, on your desk, in the kitchen counter, silverware drawer. Really? Freezer? Why would it be in your freezer? Anyways, find it. Fill it out. Vote for Bernie Sanders. Pop it in the mail. And bada boom, bada bang, you are helping things out a lot. Now, how are you helping things out a lot? Well, let's talk a little bit about your national delegates. That's right. I don't know if it happened everywhere, but in the 7th Congressional District, which if you live in the 34th, that's you, we had our national delegates chosen yesterday on Saturday. It was brilliant. Make sure you jog sideways to my most recently posted video from the 7th Congressional District meeting. It was like hundreds of people in a room where the meeting was being well facilitated. No one was being screwed over. And guess what? People were happy, polite, kind, friendly. Yeah, Bernie Sanders people are really cool. Hillary Clinton people are really cool. Regular Americans are really cool. So, guess what? The national delegates that were chosen are not rubber stamps. Believe it or not, they actually have an influence on what's going to happen in July. I mean, seriously, who's going to spend $3,000 to $4,000 just to show up in Philadelphia and be an automaton rubber stamp that has no power? Believe it or not, right now already, your team of superdelegates that support Bernie Sanders are continuing the work they've been doing for months to, at this point, sway the opinions and the strength and the commitment of our superdelegates so that they can support Bernie Sanders and the political revolution. So that's the deal. Your vote matters because your vote will influence all sorts of people. I got my cheat sheet here. It will influence, like I said, your national delegate team. I mean, just imagine. Here are these people that are fundraising or spending just their own hard-earned money to go all the way to Philadelphia in the middle of July. Think hot, humid, sweaty, okay? And they need you to take the time to fill this out, put a stamp on it, and mail it. Doesn't take much time compared to the week they're going to spend and the time between now and then. Okie doke. So your vote says, yay, thank you very much, all right, to your national delegate team. It also says, hey, superdels, guess what? We really believe that Bernie Sanders is the best candidate to run against the Republican candidate. We really believe that the candidate who is polling the best as winning the election, Bernie Sanders, is a really good idea while you're in Philly. We really think that since 73% of the people in Washington state who showed up at the caucus said, hey, we want Bernie, we think you should support Bernie also. And that, of course, is why you also want to vote in the primary. So we continually send the message. Okay, no, superdelegates, they matter. The media, I mean, honestly, when we stand up, take action, the media can ignore us, maybe, but it's harder and harder for them to do that. And your vote will influence ourselves. You, your brother, your sister, your kids, me, my children, my teenagers who are wondering if they really have much of a future in the world. So make sure that you watch the video from the 7th Congressional District Caucus. I had such a peaceful day yesterday. Like twice I almost fell asleep, which is because I didn't sleep much the night before. But still, it was a pretty peaceful event if I could start falling asleep on the bleachers. Okay, so now let's talk a little bit about what happened in Nevada. Because as you all know, in Nevada, there was a lot of unhappiness. Okie doke. But you gotta understand, the Nevada State Caucus was a top-down fiasco. It really was. I won't go into it right here because you've probably already figured it out and found a bunch of resources. But yeah, it was show up and be disenfranchised moment. And it did require an outraged response. There are certain things that require an outraged response. However, there is a difference between outrage in the form of booing and shouting because the mic that was available to the public has been turned off, and because people who are running for representative are being shut down, and the average people are being shut down, and motions were called before the event was even supposed to have been started. And okay, I'm getting into that list. Anyways, long story short, yeah, people appropriately responded with outrage. They cried. They tore up their tickets and left the building. That's the Clinton guy. So people responded appropriately, but they didn't cross the line and do anything illegal. No one was arrested. No, the chairs were not thrown at all, much less multiple chairs at a podium. Didn't happen. One chair in the whole building was lifted about 4 feet into the air and put back down again. Okay? And the Associated Press, who we like to think we can trust, unfortunately clipped that video and put out a little image of the man lifting the chair and then extrapolated all of the stuff that was later proven not true. And even Barbara Boxer, who for some reason came over from California and essentially tried to light the fuse on this giant pressure cooker of a meeting at the end of the evening when people were just beyond distressed. And she was like, let me insult you. Let me criticize you. Let me bully you. Let me call you names and completely try to push you over the line. Because really, what did they want? They wanted the opportunity, which is what the DNC tried to do for the next 3 days, to try to say that Bernie Sanders' people in general, okay, are bad. But they're not. And the worst thing about this, and I said this a few months ago when Bernie Sanders came to Washington State and tens of thousands of people, I think it was over 50,000 people, well over 50,000 people in the state came out to see Bernie Sanders in a 1 week period of time, 7 days. He went to Vancouver, Spokane, and Seattle twice. And there were over 50,000 people, well over, that came out to see him, okay? Hillary Clinton came to the state. She went to one meeting where there were about 200 people in a small hall, and that's where our superdelegates showed up to say, yay, we love Hillary. Then she went to a fancy high-end fundraiser in Medina, and it was like $2,700 or something to get a plate. And if you wanted to talk to her directly, you could donate about $50,000 or 56 or something and literally sit down for, I think, I don't know, maybe half an hour or something and talk to Hillary, okay? Which, first of all, how a person campaigns is probably how they're going to actually behave once they are president. So just think about that. But more than that is if a person says, hey, Hillary, okay, so tell me how you're going to win the nomination. You've been, this is Washington State. Bernie came. Tons of people showed up. You came. No one showed up, and you're sitting here talking with a bunch of rich folk at a dinner. Tell us how you're going to win this nomination. The only answer she can give them will require at least a portion of that answer to be, let me explain how I'm going to disregard the wishes of those people who went to see Bernie Sanders. Let me explain how I'm going to overcome the will of the people in this state. Let me explain how they don't matter. So that's the same thing Barbara Boxer did. I've watched her video several times. She showed total lack of respect and consideration for American citizens who had taken their own time and money to fly from around the state to go to the state convention in Las Vegas, pay for hotel rooms that they're required to stay in, taxis, rental cars, whatever. They went out of their way to be a part of the process, and she completely dismissed them and insulted them to their face, which is sort of the problem we have right now, that the upper echelon of the Democratic Party really just wants us to be a bunch of rubber stamps so they can go about their business and do what they want to do. So that's what the political revolution is about, largely, is reclaiming the Democratic Party. Okie doke. So, one more thing here, then I'll let you go. Here is a list of a series of articles that I'm going to be working on over the next week, most likely, before I actually go out of the country for a couple weeks. So the first one, the Democratic Party trap must be sprung. I've been talking about this for a couple of years, actually, and I'm really excited to write this. This does not suggest that we should leave the Democratic Party. I am a strong, strong advocate for reclaiming the Democratic Party by doubling the number of people who attend all meetings within the Democratic Party at the precinct level, at the district level. If you double it, given that half the people who are there already like Bernie Sanders, if you double the size, you now have a 75% super majority of Bernie-crats, basically. Okay? So, anyways, I'm not, that title is about what's wrong with the Democratic Party, and we need to fix it. Number two, if you are voting out of fear, then someone is hurting you. The question is, who? And that's just factual, because when you are being herded, you are being manipulated to go somewhere by something that frightens you, that scares you. So if someone says, hey, these are my scary reasons for why I want you to vote for that person, they, or the people who gave them those ideas, are attempting to herd you. And I know you don't want to be herded. So let's figure out who it is that's trying to create all these scary narratives. Let's uncover who they are so we can be clear. Okay? Number three. Oh, this is sort of a little awkward. Here we go. The only game plan that matters. This is how you can relax about what will happen at the National Convention in July. I'm going to the convention. I will be there for 9 days in Philadelphia, sweating my butt off, like just drenched in hot, humid air, walking around on the streets in the middle of the day. Okay, and why am I going to do this? Because I will be the media for you. I will produce 3 videos and 1 write-up every single day. And I have a Facebook group I've created. It's a private group that is specifically for people who are trusted, Bernie-crats, national delegates, people who will be organizing peaceful protests outside the convention center. And these people will be relaying information to me from all over the place about what's going on. And I will then take that information and put it out there as content for you and everyone else who was unable to go to the convention. So we're going to cover the convention in a way that is honest and clear and thorough, rather than whatever you're going to get from the manipulated corporate media. So while I'm there, and before then, even though I really care about the outcome, like I would prefer Bernie over Hillary as the nominee, I'm not worried about it. And that is because the game plan for me is identical, regardless of who gets into the nomination. Okie doke? And this article will explain why our game plan doesn't change. It would suck if we end up with Hillary as a nominee, but our game plan remains the same. And when you know that, you become less anxious about what's going to happen because you know your job is the same. And so we'll talk about that. And then why the superdelegates voted for Obama in 2008. It is true. 2008 would have been a contested election, except that for various reasons, Hillary decided to concede. There was only a 100 vote difference between her and Obama. And from what I understand, I'm going to have to check this, Hillary had been winning the last 11 states or something leading up to that. So why did the superdelegates choose Obama over Hillary? There are a lot of reasons, and they all play into why the superdelegates are so firm about supporting Hillary now in 2016, because they made some promises back then. So we're going to talk about that. And then, of course, my last article here is the lesser of two evils, that argument that people make. This is the great destroyer of all social movements. And what I mean is that a social movement that succeeds is one that has overcome the internal concept, which is based in fear and doubt, that the lesser of two evils is acceptable. as long as people will cave in to their fear and doubt and start telling themselves the lesser of two evils is okay with me, as long as that's going on and being promoted internally, a social movement is in danger. If you can take that out, if you can, there's a word, like a medical word for like taking out a tumor, right? If you can remove that from a social movement, it then becomes a powerful, confident, committed social movement, and it has an absolute guarantee pretty much of succeeding. Social movements always succeed because they have huge numbers of people that are behind them, unless they are being damaged and taken apart and destroyed from within. Okay? So these are some articles that I'm going to be publishing because this is my last video about why, where is it? Why you want to get this out of your medicine cabinet, your bedroom, kitchen table, off the piano, wherever the sucker is. Take it out, fill it out, mark Bernie, mail it in. Okie doke. All right, guys, you got 2 more days to do that. Spread this around. Get the word out to people. These will be found on my new website, which will come out in about a month. Before that, some of them may be published in the Burn Report, and I will be putting them on my personal blog, which is occupyyourgovernment.blogspot.com. So these will also show up there. All right, folks. Have a great day. Talk to you later.